Samsung's been heavily promoting the Galaxy A54. All of a sudden, we've got everyone talking about it. Like YouTubers who never covered A-series Samsungs, everyone's talking about it. It looks like this is the best value phone in the market, Samsung's best kept secret. And then you've got the weird ones. I mean, if a guy who's covered a hell of a lot of phones with Gorilla Glass 5, my point being Gorilla Glass 5 is nothing new, suddenly decides to channel his inner feline and knock phones off tables for drop tests. You know, for just one phone, one random mid-ranger, does it get any more obvious? Shut up! Stop beating around the bush. Dude got spayed. Anyway, this got me interested in the Galaxy A54 because I was genuinely curious. I wanted to check it out for myself. I wanted to see how it actually fared, if the percentages being thrown around are actually anywhere close to right. So now I've been using the A54 as my primary for about a week, 10 days, and my experiences, I dare say, have been pleasantly surprising. No one remembers that. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and let's get started. So first up, the build. Gotta give Samsung this, they've built a beautiful phone. The A54 looks really nice. Place it face down side by side with the S23 Plus. Most people are gonna have a hard time identifying which one's which. So looking like a more expensive phone? Check. Now it's not just the looks, they've also made it feel good in hand. That 200-gram weight gives it just the right heft. That Gorilla Glass 5 to both the front and back does make it practical. Also the IP67 rating, that's not too common on phones in this price segment. Technically, the phone has thicker than average bezels. For example, it's slightly wider than the S23 Plus, 76.7mm to 76.2, but it sports a screen that's 0.2 inches smaller, 6.4 inches compared to 6.6. Now, given the smaller screen, the A54 doesn't feel too wide in hand. It sits quite nicely in the palm of your hand. It's comfortable to use. Samsung's also thrown in support for microSD. The A54 has a hybrid slot, so you can use 2 nanoSIMs or a nanoSIM with microSD. There is no headphone jack though, which sadly is more and more becoming the norm these days, even on mid-rangers. Now let's talk about that display for a moment. Like I said earlier, this is a 6.4-inch panel. It's 120Hz Super AMOLED at a Full HD Plus resolution. It's vivid with typical AMOLED contrast. It has a peak brightness of 1000 nits, so it's very usable outdoors. I gotta say, Samsung's done really well with this panel. Of course, it does lack some of the bells and whistles that you find on flagships. It's not curved, doesn't do LTPO, so you can switch between 60 and 120 Hz only. But that's very much acceptable at this price point. I have absolutely no complaints about this display. Now Samsung's also provided stereo speaker support, pretty rich and loud. There's Dolby Atmos too, which is icing on the cake. Now under this display sits an optical fingerprint scanner, which is a little slow. But it's not too bad, it's something you will get accustomed to. But the next part, the chip on the inside, now that's where the issues start. Now this is something I've seen way too many people just gloss over. People say, hey, it's good for day-to-day use. And yes, in a way it is. Okay, you know what? Let me do percentages here. For 70 to 80% of the time that I was using the A54, it ran smooth, fluid 120Hz. But for the other 20 to 30%, there were stutters. It was pretty sluggish. It felt like I was using a Redmi Note from a couple of generations back. Now, if you just look at sheer numbers, you can see this Exynos chip, the Exynos 1380, matches something like the Snapdragon 778G with the CPU, falls behind with the GPU, which is not a big surprise given that's always been the Exynos versus Snapdragon story. But the point here is the A54 is not priced in the 778G segment. We are talking Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, 8 Plus Gen 1 even. And here it gets completely annihilated from a performance perspective. Now that said, there is one advantage that the A54 holds, something unique to it, and that's Samsung's 4-year update, 5-year security patch promise, which is a good 1 year more than any other competition. Gotta give Samsung that. This is really a decent thing to do, especially on mid-rangers. Now I've read a few reports of this phone overheating, but in my time with it, I never faced the issue. My unit ran cool throughout, and by that I mean with day-to-day use. Of course, with gaming, with GPS usage, a lot of cameras, it did get a little warm, but nothing to be worried about. Also, with my kind of use, the 5000 milliamp hour battery on this easily lasted me through a full day on a single charge. I had no issues with it, so I'd easily rate the battery life as good. Now, when you need to charge the A54 though, well, there is no charger included in the box, so you're gonna have to buy that separately, and it supports a max of 25 watts. So it takes about an hour and 20 minutes to go from 0 to 100, which is not good, not by today's standards. Okay, let's now move on to the cameras. Now, this is the part that I found pleasantly surprising. I do agree with MKBHD's assessment that the primary camera here offers you about 70% of what a flagship does. As you can see, the 50 megapixel sensor, it does shoot some excellent images. There's a lot of detail. The colors can sometimes be slightly off. Like here, the reds get pushed a little bit more to give you more perspective. Here's a side-by-side with the Nothing Phone 1. Other times, like in this case, the blues get pushed a little, but this is just a nitpick. It's not really a major issue. The camera is quite comparable to the Nothing Phone 1 or even the OnePlus 11R, as long as there's ample light. Once the light goes down, the A54, it still does reasonably well. As you can see, the images are still usable, but when you compare it with, say, the Nothing Phone 1, the detail's lacking, and more importantly, the A54 takes much longer to shoot low light shots. Just see this. Now also, under low light is where comparisons with phones like the OnePlus 11R stop. Because given the flagship silicon on the inside, phones like the 11R are much faster to shoot. The images too turn out cleaner, and when you look close, the details, there's just no comparison. The 11R, it's a level above. With video, you're capped to 4K 30. The footage seems nice, but the lack of 4K 60 at this price seems like a letdown. The secondary is a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It's decent, gets the job done, nothing much to talk about here. Third camera is a token 5 megapixel macro. So yeah, let's move on and sum things up. Here's what I liked about the Galaxy A54. It's got a really nice build, some frills like microSD and IP67 rating. It's ergonomic, feels nice in hand. It's got an excellent display, solid battery life. The primary camera actually performs well. Now, on the flip side, the chip inside, it feels way too underpowered for the price that they are asking. As a result, the user experience can get sluggish at times. Low light performance could have been better. And then we also have the lack of pretty much anything in the box, the charger or a case. Now here's the interesting part. This is not a bad phone. The A54, it's just grossly overpriced, especially in India. Now look at the same list again. Strike off the 40,000 rupee asking price and substitute it with, say, 25,000. Now the chip, the user experience, the low light performance, all these become acceptable. But at this asking price, there are just so many other options in the market. The Moto Edge 30 Fusion, the OnePlus 11R, the ROG Phone 5S, or you could actually go cheaper, still get the same kind of overall performance. You know, get something like the Nothing Phone 1, the Google Pixel 6a, the Realme GT Neo 3, the Poco F4, or even Samsung's own S21 FE. All these are better alternatives. So I don't see any reason whatsoever why you should buy the Galaxy A54 at this price. Maybe if it's on sale, maybe if you've got some offers, if it's available for 20-25,000, hell yes. But at 40K, nope. That is how I see it. Now, what do you think? Do you have a different take on the A54? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And with that, we are at the end of today's video. Thumbs up, thumbs down, based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. Until next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4 eTech. And I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.